Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to a look at a few more of 2020's Senate elections from around the various states. And we're going to start off with, Nevada. And then we have two states with new in their name that we're going to look at. So Nevada is probably not as much of a battleground as I think some people expect. And it's also more of a battleground than others expect. It's kind of in that weird limbo land. And part of that is because Nevada has a pretty inelastic electorate. But we'll see exactly what happens. So the Democrats are almost certainly going to nominate Catherine Cortez Masto again to run for the seat, and she's almost certainly going to run for re-election. The Republicans, on the other hand, they have to deal with a pretty open primary, which, to be honest, I'm not really entirely sure who would actually be the best candidate for the Republicans to put up. Adam Laxalt gets a lot of insider, we'll call it support, because he's the former Nevada Attorney General. He's a much more moderate brand of Republican than the Trump brand, even though he was the nominee for governor in 2018. The former governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval, has declined to run, though there is a chance he could run for it still. 2022 is a long way away. But it's also right here, so that's why we're talking about it. And I'll be 100% honest, this is a really tough race to handicap just because of the uniqueness of Nevada's demographics. So I'm going to err on the side of the incumbent, but it's only a lean margin. Anyway, moving on, and before we get into our next two states, I want to first say thank you all for pushing me over 800. As of recording, I was at like 804 or something, and that's the number of subscribers. And yeah, if you haven't already, subscriptions really do help, and I greatly appreciate them. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 by the end of the year. And, commenting and liking the videos, that really helps. It especially helps the algorithm not hate me. So, thank you all so much for that. And, yeah, y'all gave me one of the things I really wanted for my birthday. So, which is today, actually. So, yay, I'm officially 26. Anyway, so thank you all for that. Moving on, we're talking about New Hampshire, and oh boy, this is the big money election this year, and I'm going to work off of one assumption, which I think is not an unfair assumption. And that is Sununu. So, obviously Maggie Hassan is running for re-election, and I don't see any Democrat challenging her there. Both Kelly Ayotte and Chris Sununu have expressed interest, and one of 2020's Republican candidates for the 2020 Senate race here against Janine Shaheen, Donald C. Bolduc, or Bolduc, depending on how French you want to go. That's a very French name, though, the last name specifically. Yeah, he's already declared, but I'm going to work on the assumption that Sununu runs. I don't see him losing a Republican primary. He is an extremely popular governor, and he's much more in line with the electorate in not just New England, but New Hampshire especially. And unlike, say, in Vermont or Massachusetts, where Charlie Baker or Phil Scott would have zero chance if they ran, just because of how Democratic leaning those states are at the national level. New Hampshire is a much more competitive state at the national level, and I'll be honest here, Sununu would be able to make a very, very, very good case that he would govern much more in line with the feelings of New Hampshire rather than Maggie Hassan, who was voted very party line for the Democrats. Sununu will say, yeah, I lean conservative, but I won't vote party line. And I genuinely think that if he is nominated, which is basically if he runs, we're going to be looking at a situation where I'm going to have to break my rule of err on the side of the incumbent. Basically, the exception that proves the rule. Because what we get here is Maggie Hassan having her Senate career suffer death by Sununu. For those of you who are Futurama fans, we're going there. So I'm actually going to I'm actually pretty confident, but I'm not confident that Sununu runs for re-election or runs for the Senate. I'm working on that assumption, so that's why I'm having it in the leans category. If he does declare for the Senate instead of re-election, which he can do, and that would make that seat, that governor's race, absolutely safe, by the way. I'm going to probably upgrade this to a likely Republican. That's how highly I rate his candidacy options, because he's already beating Maggie Hassan in polling right now. He declares, yes, people are going to say, maybe I do want to vote for Hassan, but a lot of independents who might be swayed will say, I like our governor, I think he'll do a fine job in the Senate, I'm going to vote for him. So I don't really see the polling changing if Sununu declares. In fact, I think he'd be more likely to gain support than lose support, net support. See a net gain rather than net loss in his margins over Hassan. And then moving on to New York, where it's really just a question of how crazy does the Democratic primary get. And this is Chuck Schumer's seat. I don't really see him losing the primary, though. If AOC declares, it could be a little bit closer. But Chuck Schumer is almost certainly going to win the primary. And the Republicans don't really have a good candidate here for the Senate, because everybody on the Republican side wants to become governor because of all the Cuomo. Can I call it a shitstorm? yeah, we'll call it a shitstorm. Basically, the Republicans see Cuomo as much more vulnerable uh, than Chuck Schumer. So, regardless of what you think, it's safe for the Democrats. Schumer's almost certainly going to run again. He's almost certain to win the primary, and I don't really see a reasonable path for Republicans to win the Senate seat. Governor's race is a slightly different story, but that requires Cuomo to win the primary. And we'll see what happens at that point. But, yeah, a lot of the candidates who have declined for the Senate race are eyeing the governor's race, including Andrew Giuliani, not Rudy Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani's son, and Lee Zeldin, who represents the 1st Congressional District on Long Island. Anyway, that's going to finish it up. Again, a like, a comment, and a subscription is greatly appreciated. And if you are new here, please subscribe. And, hey, share this channel with people that may actually like this type of content, where we actually talk about the electability of candidates and not just sensationalize every headline. Because guess what? I'd rather get valuable information out to the people than offer clickbait. And yeah, so we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to say thank you all for watching. I hope you have a very lovely evening. I'll see you all next time. Take it easy. Bye-bye.